Whistler, home to Subaru Ironman Canada. For the 35th time, this iconic race takes place. Over the years, the gear has improved. There's now coaching, triathlon clubs. Yet everyone still has to cover the same distance that they did when this all began. There were no guarantees then, there are no guarantees now. In fact, 1 out of every 7 participants on this day, their Ironman dreams will not be realized. And everyone knows you better show up ready both physically and mentally if you are to have any shot at finishing an Ironman. But then there are the moments when it comes together. You exceed expectations in the water, set a PR on a bike, find your rhythm on the run, all towards this moment, the finish line. If it was easy getting here, maybe it wouldn't matter. Would they continue to come? Do one of these, and you will know the answer. That's the lure, the reward. Not necessarily the finish. It's wondering if you can, if you will. And so here they are, walking towards the unknown. Whether they are doing this for the first time or the next time. This is Subaru Ironman Canada. Among the thousands here, some of the world's very best. Last year, it was the professional men in Whistler, the pro women at Ironman Lake Placid. This year, the women get their chance. It's a first time here for Great Britain's Rachel Joyce. She has been a dominant force on the triathlon circuit. Gold at the 2011 ITU Long Distance World Championships, 2 silver, and a bronze at the Ironman World Championship.
Oh, Rachel is brilliant.
She's amazing. I mean, she's a bit of a superwoman, and even more now coming off, I guess, mat leave. When you see a name like hers, what it would take to beat her is you'd have to put up the performance of your lifetime.
She really doesn't have a weakness. She's a strong swimmer, she's a really good biker, and she's a brilliant marathon runner.
America's Lindsay Corbin, a 5-time Ironman champion, and Daniel Mack, the 2015 Subaru Ironman Canada champion, have come north to challenge for the title. But the Canadian women have a formidable lineup as well that includes Melanie McQuaid, the 3-time Xterra world champion and runner-up here in her debut Ironman race in 2015.
I got caught with like 4K to go, which is crappy, and so I don't want that to happen again.
The women have taken their position at the starting line at Alta Lake. It will be more than 9 hours before the winner makes her way through the 3 disciplines. Yet, as is always the case at the beginning of any Ironman, it starts with an all-out sprint. The race is on.
The way that professional women triathlon has changed in 10 years is incredible. Just the level at what you race an Ironman at, from what I raced in 2006 to what I race now, it's a whole nother level of fitness. You definitely put more on the line. Now you truly are racing for 9 hours if you want to contend for the win.
Great Britain's Rachel Joyce, Canadians Karen Thibodeau and Rachel McBride, the top 3 swimmers here, have quickly moved into the front. All the women know the swim is important, yet it represents just a portion of what it takes to win an Ironman. The amateurs now getting underway as well. Everyone has 17 hours to finish an Ironman. Their individual time starts as soon as they come under the starting arch and step over the timing mat. Over the next 10 minutes, they will all get their chance. For some, waiting to get going, for their Ironman to begin. This is a very stressful part of the day.
Getting a little nervous here.
For others, not so much.
It's going to pass 1,400 swimmers on the jet ski.
By 7 a.m., they will finally all be in the water. 2.4 miles, 3.9 kilometers. No matter how you measure it, no matter that it is the shortest discipline in time, it is still a challenge that must be overcome. Everyone has their goals, their personal expectations. For some, it's simply making it out before the cutoff time. 2 hours and 20 minutes after the race began. The 2017 edition of Subaru Ironman Canada is brought to you by Subaru, Confidence in Motion, the Resort Municipality of Whistler, and by Tourism Whistler. Welcome back to Subaru Ironman Canada from Whistler and Pemberton, British Columbia. The amateurs now spread out on this two-loop course. For the professional women, the first of 3 disciplines is coming to a close. It is a result no one had anticipated. Canadian Rachel McBride has never led a major race after the swim, but here she is out front at Subaru Ironman Canada.
When I got out of the water, I was so ecstatic. I was just celebrating. The crowds there were in transition were amazing. So I picked up all of that energy and brought it out with me onto the bike course.
Great Britain's Rachel Joyce and Canadian Karen Thibodeau were expected to set the pace. Instead, they find themselves more than 2 minutes back. Thibodeau has led out of the water here in the past. This time she has McBride to catch, and Rachel Joyce is unwelcome company. The chase pack are finally making their way out. Their deficit, 4 minutes. Over a 9-hour race, it may prove to be insignificant. But then again, it may not. McBride may be only in her second Ironman race, but she has the confidence necessary to excel at this distance.
I have many years racing at the 70.3 pretty successfully, and I think I am known for my mental strength and also my solid cycling skills. That really brings a lot to the iron distance racing.
2 of the pre-race favorites now exiting transition. American Lindsay Corbin and Canadian Melanie McQuaid, the runner-up here in 2015. They are nearly 5 minutes back. Rachel McBride with the top swim in a time of 51 minutes and 21 seconds. Joyce 2:28 back, followed by Thibodeau, Jessica Smith, and Leslie de Michelle Miller in 5th. Canadian Melanie McQuaid quickly beginning to move up. She is the X factor. The runner-up the last time the women raced here in 2015, yet this is only her 3rd Ironman race. But by no means does that mean she is inexperienced at triathlons. She is a 3-time Xterra World Champion and the oldest pro triathlete here.
44? Oh, no. Is she 44 now? Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny because I train with Mel a lot, and she just doesn't come across as 44.
I don't see where I'm at in terms of my age being a disadvantage right now. It might become so, but the way I look at it is I'm in my 40s. I've had 20 years to prepare for this. Girls in their 20s don't have 20 years of aerobic development, so it's not a disadvantage.
McQuaid is not the only one moving up. American Lindsay Corbin was 7th after the swim. She has overtaken both Rachel Joyce and Karen Thibodeau, moving her into 2nd.
It's hard to tell how people are going to play their cards. You know, are people going to ride really strong? Are they going to be able to back that up with a strong run? And even I'm not 100% sure the cards that I'm going to play yet.
The professional women are now on the first major climb, heading towards the dormant volcanic peak of Mount Callahan. 13 kilometers in distance, 500 meters of vertical. Rachel McBride was the surprising leader out of the water. on the bike, that advantage is actually increasing.
Winning would be an incredible day. I mean, that would, of course, I go into any race wanting to win. Against these women who have such experience at the iron distance racing, that would be pretty tough.
McBride's pursuers, Lindsay Corbin, a 5-time Ironman champion. Third is Karen Thibodeau, the 2-time runner-up, followed closely by the biggest threat of all, Britain's Rachel Joyce. Joyce took 2016 off to have a baby. Her first race back, Ironman Boulder. She took the title.
Doing an Ironman Whistler is one of those races that I've seen, and it was a women's only race, and it was a course that I could get excited about and would be a real test of endurance. So I was like, that's the one I'm going to do and see if that lands me with a Kona spot.
First or second would secure her spot in Kona. Right now, though, she continues to lose time to the leader. In fact, all the women are. Rachel McBride has opened up her advantage to 6 minutes and counting. Jen Annett was 12th after the swim, over 7 minutes back. But she has quickly moved up to 5th, and her time deficit to the leader is holding. It is a testament to her drive that she is even competing, let alone as a pro.
When I moved to Penticton, I watched my first Ironman, and that was in 2005, and was so inspired that I decided to sign up for my first Ironman and completed that in 2008 and qualified for the World Championships as an age grouper that year. My last training ride before leaving for that race, I was hit by a car while riding my bike. The car turned right in front of me and my head basically put a dent through the back of the car. Thank God my helmet actually saved my life. And from there on, I started having these weird little spells and went and sought medical advice, and they brushed it off as training-related electrolyte imbalances. 2010, I had a grand mal seizure. Doctors decided that actually I'd been having seizures for the last 2 years. Basically just put me on medication and sent me on my merry way and said, we'll see you in 6 months. At which time, when I went back, he was like, so you have epilepsy. I'm like, I have what? And that's kind of, that was a horrible moment for me. I was basically told that I couldn't have a kid because of the medication that I was on, or the chances of having a seizure while I was pregnant. There was this too high risk. I shouldn't be running by myself. I definitely couldn't bike by myself. I shouldn't be swimming at all. It was very devastating, but I plowed through. I ended up having my son 2 years later, who's a perfect little boy. So my last seizure was 3 years ago, thank God. The chances of me having a seizure are definitely still there. Almost a bigger hurdle than the epilepsy diagnosis itself is my memory loss that I suffer now because of it. I've found ways to essentially make my dream come true, pursuing triathlon as a career. I was always a top placer as an age grouper. I went pro in 2013. I've won several local races over the last few years, and then third place here at Ironman Canada in 2015. And then this year I kicked off my season with a second place finish in Victoria 70.3, and then in Coeur d'Alene as well with a second place finish. I have poured my heart and soul into training for this race, and I am feeling very good. I truly believe that this sport has made me a healthier person, not just physically, but with my medical condition, mentally. It has been amazing for me to put it all together, so I have no intentions of leaving the sport anytime soon.
Everyone has their goals, their personal expectations when signing up for Subaru Ironman Canada. For some, It is simply making it out before the cutoff time. 2 hours and 20 minutes after their race began. And finishing within the allotted 17 hours. The next challenge, the bike. 180 kilometers, 112 miles.
Ready to get this one started? Glad to be off the put your hands together for them.
The bike course is known around the world as one of the most beautiful, but also as one of the most challenging.
I missed the cutoff last year, so I'm gonna try and do it again.
Ironman is not about doing something easy. It's about doing something epic and big, something bigger than yourself.
It's not just testing whether you think you're fit enough, whether you can run and you're just going to add the bike. It's going to test every part of you.
Whether amateur or professional, everyone is out there together, tackling the same challenge and sharing the same doubts.
It's part of the unknown of going to something very difficult and see what happens.
We're not doing this because it's easy. We're doing it because we're not sure we can do it.
Among those doing their very first Ironman, Craig Navin and Kai Okada.
It's gonna be a long day!
Kai was born in Hiroshima, Japan, but at age 3, her family moved to California. Craig was originally from Vancouver, but as an adult, he too ended up in California. Born on opposite sides of the Pacific Ocean, somehow the two found each other, fell in love and married. To celebrate their 10th anniversary, they're taking on an Ironman together.
In 2005, Craig and I started dating in California. Oh, so many things about Craig. He's super smart and he's funny, very thoughtful and gentle, just a real genuine person.
I think it was her smile that I just thought was amazing. When I saw her for the first time, I knew she was the one I wanted to be with. So a few months after we started dating, I got a call at work, and she said that she got diagnosed with cancer, and it was pretty hard because I'd found somebody that was just amazing, and I was really worried that somebody was going to take away from me.
It turned out to be a very aggressive form of breast cancer. So I went in right away for surgery and 2 rounds of chemotherapies, followed by, I think it was 10 weeks of radiation, and then another year of drug therapy. When I got sick, he was with me. When I started losing hair.
We had a date that we both shaved our heads.
I was told that the 2 rounds of chemotherapy would probably kill my reproductive system, and so I'd probably never have children.
Because of the treatment that she was having, it was really important to have a lot of exercise. So my job was to make sure to be the motivator, if you will, to make sure that we would go out and do all the necessary exercises regardless of how tired we were.
I could not have asked for a better friend, a better partner to bring me through the whole experience. We knew then that if we could go through what we had just gone through with cancer treatment together, that we could get through anything in life together.
We got married in 2007.
A year and a half later, we had our first son. And 15 months after that, we had our second son. Double blessed, yes. This weekend, we are racing Ironman Canada, our first Ironman, to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary. Leading up to this race, we've done 3 half Ironmans together, and we've also done a couple of smaller triathlons. So this is something that he and I do together.
We chose Ironman because it's the ultimate challenge. And we're just really looking forward to this amazing sense of accomplishment.
I never imagined that I could make my body last as long as it will have to on Sunday. I am probably a stronger runner than I am a swimmer or a cyclist.
Yeah, I would say that cycling is my stronger sport. Running will be really challenging for me, but I think she will catch up to me.
I hope to catch up to him. One day I'm gonna beat him. We said to each other that if I survived the treatment and I was healthy, that we would live life to its fullest together, and we have.
She surprised herself by leading out of the swim. But no one should be surprised that Canadian Rachel McBride is opening up her advantage on the bike, where she has been establishing herself as one of the very best. Lindsay Corbin remains in second as she hits the Callahan Road turnaround. Her 4-minute deficit to start the bike, now over 6 minutes. Another of the Canadian women is third. Karen Thibodeau has been able to drop Rachel Joyce, but she's now 8 minutes back. So far on the bike, Joyce, the pre-race favorite, is not showing the form that led her to the title this year at Ironman Boulder. The news is far worse for Canadian Melanie McQuaid, the runner-up in 2015.
What's the problem?
Sick.
McQuaid came to Whistler expecting to battle for the win. Instead, she finds herself out of the top 10 and on her way back to Whistler to call it a day. For Jen Annett, her race plan is actually exceeding expectations. She has overtaken both Rachel Joyce and Karen Thibodeau to move into third.
Rachel is a phenomenal athlete. She's somebody I've looked up to for a very long time. So to be able to pass her that early in the race just gave me a boost of confidence that this was hopefully going to be my day.
The last year the pro women raced here was 2015. American Danielle Mack was the champion. She has returned to defend her title. However, it is looking more unlikely as her deficit continues to add up. Now more than 10 minutes to the women's leader. Rachel McBride is leading the way here at Subaru Ironman Canada. Welcome back to Subaru Ironman Canada, where the Iron Kids have taken over. Go! Prior to race day, about 500 kids taking their chance to experience what is the pinnacle of this race, the Subaru Ironman Canada finish. No doubt many will follow in their parents' footsteps, perhaps as part of the 50th celebration in 15 years. The 35th edition of Subaru Ironman Canada is brought to you by Subaru, confidence in motion. Skechers, the official running shoe of the Ironman Canadian Series. And the Resort Municipality of Whistler. The professional women have made it to the village of Pemberton. The story continues to be Rachel McBride. At every time check, her advantage has grown. Now nearly 10 minutes as she works her way through the Pemberton flats.
It's basically a hometown race, being so close to Vancouver. It's an incredible venue, so beautiful. And the biggest draw is absolutely the bike course.
McBride is better known as an Ironman 70.3 racer. Her only other Ironman race was Cozumel last year, where she finished in 5th. Her nearest pursuer, American Lindsay Corbin. Corbin has more wins, 5, than McBride has starts at Ironman. However, Corbin is looking to re-establish herself following a terrible 2015 campaign that began with an illness in Mexico. Then, during a training session in South America, she was stung by a bee, causing an extreme allergic reaction. Back in the US, following a subpar race performance, an MRI revealed a stress fracture in her femur, and she was forced to shut down the remainder of the season. So far, she has not been able to find her winning form.
It's definitely been too long since I've won an Ironman, so I have had visualizations of just holding that banner and breaking the tape and being another Ironman champion.
2/3 into the bike course is the final turnaround, a last chance for the pro women to see each other before the run.
At any turnaround, I'm always counting how long until I see the next competitor behind me. And so I just kept riding and riding and riding, and I was like, where is everybody? It was a couple of minutes until I saw Lindsay Corbin coming up from behind, and I mean, she looked so solid.
At the turnaround in Pemberton, I saw that Rachel had a 10-minute lead, which then your mind starts playing games with you and you're wondering, how much time can I give up to Rachel? How fast is she gonna run?
Jen Annett remains in third, well positioned for a run at the title.
I always tell myself just to be patient, especially on this course. It is a course that if you're not patient on, the course will pretty much eat you up. So I just kept reminding myself that I had 180 kilometers to catch these girls.
Karen Thibodeau has held fourth almost the entire bike, but her deficit has grown to 16 minutes. Fawn Whiting has moved past Rachel Joyce and into 5th place as the Canadian women occupy 4 of the top 5 positions. The professional women beginning to make their way back through the village of Pemberton. For the amateurs, they are still heading away from Whistler, with hours still to go on the bike, here at Subaru Ironman Canada. The final push is on for the professional women here at Subaru Ironman Canada. Penticton's Jen Annett remains a solid third. She was much as 11.5 minutes back, but since the Pemberton turnaround, she's been gaining on the leader. Her deficit, 9 minutes. Working her way past the Ironman 70.3 athletes, Oregon's Lindsay Corbin has been taking back time as well. She finds herself 2 minutes ahead of Annett, just over 7 back of the leader. Great Britain's Rachel Joyce has moved up into 4th, but the pre-race favorite is more than 20 minutes back. A shot at the win, all but gone. For Joyce, first or second would secure a qualifying spot to the Ironman World Championship. That is looking very doubtful as well. Vancouver's Rachel McBride with a phenomenal ride, the fastest swim, followed by the quickest bike. The question is, will it be enough? Corbin now in the final stages of the bike. Doing a marathon after swimming and biking is something she has plenty of experience at. For McBride, she is on her way for what will be only her second Ironman marathon. Like Corbin, Annett has experience to draw on for the marathon. She ran herself up and into 3rd place here 2 years ago. This time, her sights are on the win.
I hit the run in 1st place, an unbelievable experience. I knew I had some speedy women coming up from behind. Coming from a recent run injury and not having as much running under my belt, I knew I didn't have a marathon that was as fast as them. And so it was just a matter of how long can I hold them off, and is my gap enough to stay at the top?
Corbin has finished the bike.
When I entered T2, I heard the deficit to Rachel McBride was down to 7 minutes. And so I gave a little internal cheer because I thought, all right, I'm putting time into her. This is a good sign.
Rachel McBride claimed her ITU National Age Group Champion title in her very first year of racing. She had found her calling. The 38-year-old has several victories at Ironman 70.3 events. Now, the woman known to fans as the Purple Tiger is in position for her first Ironman win. She is feared on the bike. However, on the run, the hunter has become the hunted. Over her career, Lindsay Corbin has tracked down numerous competitors on this final discipline. She knows the chance for a 6th Ironman title is there. But she also knows a lot can happen during a marathon.
There will be key points in the race where you have to make a decision. For me, I tend to race a little bit more on the conservative side early on in the race and build my momentum as I go. I'll be walking that fine line of, am I pushing too hard? Am I going to be able to keep this pace up for the entire marathon?
Corbin is being hunted as well. Annette was slowly gaining during the bike. She made up precious time in transition as well. Now on the run, her deficit to second is just over a minute. Canadian Rachel McBride with the lead starting the run. Corbin 7:30 back, Annette 8:38 off the pace. Great Britain's Rachel Joyce is well off the pace in 4th, Vaughn Whiting 5th. Early in the run, McBride has already made the Subaru turnaround. It's a chance to see where Corbin is. For McBride, it is not good news. The American is cutting into the Canadian's lead. For the amateurs, many are still making their way through the village of Pemberton towards the turnaround. When they reach it, they will still have another 60 kilometers of riding. While some of the quicker amateur Ironman athletes are set to join the Ironman 70.3 athletes out on the run.
I was just run down here and heard a big snap.
With each passing hour, it becomes easier to quit, to give up. Yet if they can, they push on.
I think people get into, it's a zone actually. You are just focused on being in the moment, doing what you're doing, and you just carry on with whatever is coming your way at that exact moment.
Kai Okada is on pace to complete the bike well before the mandatory cutoff time. As is her husband, Craig Navin. Their ultimate goal, to celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary by finishing Subaru Ironman Canada. Welcome back to the 2017 edition of Subaru Ironman Canada. It has been methodical. It has been relentless. And now, it appears inevitable. Canadian Rachel McBride has led almost the entire day, at one time by 10 minutes. Her advantage over American Lindsay Corbin now mere seconds.
There's that moment when you know that you are dropping down a spot, and especially from the top spot. It's a little heartbreaking.
I gave her a pat on the back because her performance on the bike was very commendable, and I had heard that she'd been dealing with a foot injury, and so for her actually to run as well as she had and put up the fight that she had, I had a lot of respect for what she did out there.
For McBride, first place may be pulling away, but there is still plenty of racing to deal with.
So now I'm in second place, and now I'm trying desperately to hold on to that spot. I can see from the turnaround, I can see Jen coming up from behind as well.
Jen Annett is not gaining as quickly as Corbin did, but she is gaining. The two Canadians looking like they will be on the podium. The question is, in what order? The amateurs are now spread out all over the run. It is out here with miles to go that thoughts of doubt creep in, affecting both body and mind. As the clock continues to march on, so do the competitors.
One foot in front of the other. Been a tough day.
Rod Ladwig's reason for being here is the same as when he did his very first one: to remember his brother Melvin, who has been missing in action from the Vietnam War since 1968. He does an Ironman every year to honor his brother. Everyone has a story, a reason for being here. Kai Okada faced an uncertain future when she learned she had cancer.
I'm so happy I got through the bike.
A lot of work to go still.
A lot of work, yeah. The run feels longer than I had expected.
Kai and her husband Craig vowed they would live life to the fullest if she survived. Tackling their first Ironman together is part of that journey. So far, they are both on pace to make it to the finish line, but that will be hours from now. Since taking over the top spot, Lindsay Corbin has been increasing her advantage. First place looks to be decided. However, second place is not. Well into the run, Rachel McBride continues to hold off her pursuer, Jen Annett.
It sounded like we were running the same pace.
I saw the volunteer green shirt on the bike and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's second, and somebody yelled that at me. They're like, she's in sight, she's in sight.
And all of a sudden she was there.
I'm like, okay, take your time. I'm feeling like I need to take my time right now because I'm not feeling great either, but don't let anybody know that.
It was tough, definitely, to move down another spot.
When I passed her, I'm like, I know she's a tough girl. I was worried that she was gonna try to stay with me and tried not to look back. At that point, I was running scared.
It was a long road back after missing almost the entire 2015 campaign. But Oregon's Lindsay Corbin is the 2017 Subaru Ironman Canada champion. Jen Annett with her best ever result as an Ironman as she takes second place. Rachel McBride in only her second Ironman race with an incredible performance as she celebrates third place. American Lindsay Corbin with a course record of 9:17:12, followed by Annett. McBride in third, Rachel Joyce takes fourth, and Canadian Fawn Whiting rounding up the top five. For the sixth time, Lindsay Corbin is on top of an Ironman podium, Jen Annett taking runner-up honors, and Rachel McBride stepping onto an Ironman podium for the first time. And congratulations to Canada's Dylan Gleason, the men's amateur winner. 8 hours, 58 minutes, and 46 seconds. Sub 9 hours on a very tough course. Most of the amateurs still have a long way to cover. For some, it will be more than 7 hours until they make the finish line. Others will simply run out of time. But for those out here, they know they are fortunate to even have the opportunity to compete in an Ironman.
And the setting, this is a wonderful day. It's amazing.
I love this race. This is my third time here.
Each athlete has 10.5 hours to complete the swim and bike. That deadline is now approaching.
Please tell me I made it. Oh, I made it! Oh my God!
Roger Morris will be the last one to make the bike cutoff. A marathon remains. The distance, 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers. Everyone has a maximum of 17 hours from when they step over the starting line before they must step over the finish line. Otherwise, it is considered a DNF, did not finish.
That's not in my vocabulary. Yeah. It can't happen. DNF cannot happen. Not today.
There's some untangible force that just drives people, and it's that human spirit, right? You never know what you're going to do until you're in that moment and it seems most people keep going no matter what.
Yes, sir.
There's Craig up ahead, I think.
There are a few couples in the world that would celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary by doing an Ironman.
Almost done, honey.
But for Kai Okada and Craig Navin, it just fit with their commitment to each other to live life to the fullest. This is what Kai and Craig, what they all have come to experience. There is nothing quite like it, an Ironman finish.
You are an Ironman.
The 2017 edition of Subaru Ironman Canada is brought to you by Subaru, confidence in motion. Skechers, the official running shoe of the Ironman Canadian Series. And by Tourism Whistler. It is nighttime at Subaru Ironman Canada. The swim in Alta Lake that started it all feels like it was another day to those still pushing on towards the finish line.
What keeps you going? Why does this matter?
Show my son that hard work pays off. Show myself that I can do things. I got work-life balance and everything.
The bike, that has been over for a long time as well. It is now all about moving forward on the run and getting to that finish line. It has been nearly 15 hours of swimming, biking, and finally running. But Craig Navin is getting close now. His wife, Kai Okada, is further back. She still has some distance to cover, but she pushes on. Craig is now within sight of the finish line.
I'm gonna wait for my wife and embrace her and hold hands and then become Ironman together. I mean, we worked really hard for this. Having my children see us compete here, this means a lot. I feel like I've won the Stanley Cup of life.
The celebration that began with the very first finisher will continue until the very last finisher.
You see the finish line and you feel the sudden emotion coming up, the tears coming to your eyes. I wasn't expecting it at all the first time it happened.
You don't realize how hard it's going to be, but once you're done, you realize it's part of the reason it means so much after you've completed it. Is how much you put into it and how much you get back.
For Rod Ladewig, everything he puts into Ironman is for his brother.
I'm Rob Ladwig. Ironman Canada will be my 35th Ironman. And I'm running the Ironmans in honor of my oldest brother, Melvin Ladwig, who's been missing in action from Vietnam since 1968. My mom and dad raised 8 kids, 7 boys and a girl, and he was 27 and a half years in the Air Force. So my dad commissioned 5 of his boys into the Air Force as second lieutenants. Melvin was the oldest. He always wanted to fly. Went off to pilot training. He got to his first operational assignment in May of 1968. And that was during the time period where the fighting was escalating. And his squadron, they were called the Night Owls, and they flew armed reconnaissance missions at night. They were flying up north most of the time and looking for supply routes and targets and bombing and strafing those targets. His airplane was shot down on the 24th of August, 1968, and he had over 50 combat missions at that time. I was the one who answered the door. On a Saturday morning, the first airplane in his flight basically reported seeing a fireball. They didn't see any parachutes, and so basically his status was listed as missing in action. Our hope is that at some point, you know, they're working diligently, but it is not an easy thing. The chances of recovering remains is slim. I spent 25 and a half years in, and I basically retired as a colonel in the Air Force. When my oldest brother went missing, he has a 1-year-old son, and his 1-year-old son grew up to become an Air Force pilot. That was our legacy, and it still continues today. My commitment is basically to complete an Ironman at least once a year, as long as I'm physically capable, until we get him home. When I cross the finish line, I'm always thinking, this is one more in the books for my oldest brother, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Another one completed. A proud family legacy continues. Craig Navin is still at the top of the finishing chute. His children are ready to see him become an Ironman. But until his wife is there to cross the finish line with him, he will continue to wait. For others, their time to rejoice is here. Lindsay Corbin, Jen Annett, and Rachel McBride, the top 3 professional women, have returned to join in as the celebration continues. Kai Okada is on her way. Hand in hand, they will celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary. And together, they will complete Subaru Ironman Canada. Kai Okada and Craig Navin, you are both an Ironman.
So happy, so excited. I'm so happy I did this. So happy we finished together.
And remember Roger Morris, the final cyclist? He will be one of the final finishers at the 2017 edition of Subaru Ironman Canada.